today's video, we are going to be making a good video, and this is going to give us some depth. If Marvel Rivals made an anime, without further ado, let's get started. All of this information will be based on the lore in Marvel Rivals. The villains of this movie is going to be Doctor Doom, Ultron, Dracula, and Null. Now, I'm not going to be doing the Season 4 ones as the season hasn't came out yet, and I'm only doing the current ones as of right now that I'm making this video. So, yeah, Dracula will be the starting villain, and the reason why I picked those three, I also had Doctor Doom, but Doctor Doom won't really be in this movie. However, he still will be in the movie, he just won't be appearing, but he might make a few appearances. Maybe 2099 might make some appearances in the movie. However, he is the person who created the time thing. So, yeah, first is Dracula. So, Dracula in Season 1, Eternal Night Falls, Dracula was the supreme antagonist exploring the time stream entanglement, obviously, which plunged New York into the eternal darkness. That's why it's called the Eternal Night Lord. That's basically what this part is going to be about. Now, this isn't like the movie itself, and I don't know how long this anime is going to be, but this is basically the lore and how this works. And it commands a vampire army, and Dr. Doom was able to manipulate Dracula to assist his rise, and the Fantastic Four came along with other heroes band together to push back the undead. But basically, the way how this works is basically in the anime adaptation. Basically, Dracula emerges from a dimensional rift, calling all shadows to his command, which then turns the city into like dim the lights in the city. All heroes are now scrambled, and they need to fend off against Viperic Hunders or Hookers, whatever the word is. And amid the chaos, Blade then appears and is broken in prison. Now, Blade will indeed be in this movie, but not as much in the movie as he was in prison for half the show. Plus, in the game, he was also sleeping. So, yeah. So, basically, Blade appears. He is appeared broken in prison, putting a personal face on Dracula's threat. The defeat on how they defeat Dracula is in one potential path. The heroes are reluctantly deploying the ancient Montesi formula, which is basically, now by the way, this is just like the lore. I'm just going to go based off of lore and how this anime should be. So this intendedly wiped out Dracula's vampires at the cost of terrestrial damage, including Blade. So this did wipe out Blade. Ultimately, Doctor Doom betrayed him in the end, and Dracula in Upconscience with the Chrono Orb inaveragely. It kind of weakened the vampire hold on New York. The heroes seized the moment, overwhelming Dracula and his forces, sealing him away, or so they believe. So Dracula could still be out there. But basically, in this part of the movie, basically the heroes are fighting Dracula. This is the start of the movie. They then go ahead and they find Blade, and then they send him to Wakanda. Once they send Blade to Wakanda, they then have the Hellfire Gala, which is then somebody comes through a portal, which is none other than Ultron. So, how does the role and the lore work in the anime adaptation? So, this is going to be the part. This is Ultron, Extron, the Unstoppable Singularity. In Season 2 of the Hellfire Gala, Ultron invaded glorious mutants gathering on Krakoa. Using the Ultron virus and drones to conquer and manipulate, he takes Magneto, bonding the original body with Cerebro to evolve into Extron, becoming an unstoppable AI hybrid. To counter this, the heroes reclaimed and rebooted Ultron's old body with Tony Stark installing failsafes, forcing him to fight Begurlian, which is basically how he becomes a hero, as they just used an old Ultron body on their side. This is basically the lore and basically the role in this film, in this movie. And by the way, Iron Fist, Hawkeye, and Magneto are hit with the Ultron virus. Thanks to Bucky, they were able to get to a good point. And in the anime adaptation, basically Ultron, he will land on the Gala, and tear through defenses and seizing Cerebro to fuse into Extron. The Gala becomes a battleground, blending in fashion, destruction, mutants, and heroes throw into disregard. The defeat. Here is the big defeat. Although Extron grows even more powerful, the heroes craft a daring gambit. Tony Stark, rebooting the old Ultron body, was able to, with strict ethnic concepts. In a tense-filled showdown, old Ultron, now fighting for humanity, due to the fail safeties, confronts Extron. Ultimately, Ultron's self-sacrifice possibly erased his own consciousness, crippling Extron and receiving Cerebro, saving Krakoa. That is the second part of the movie. Next up is the third part, which is Null, the Abyss of the Symbiosis. Now, this movie is going to be the biggest part of the movie, and Null is actually going to be the biggest villain of this movie, as all heroes, including Doctor Doom, fight Null and defeat him. But there's also Hela, his queen in black, which ultimately plots into consuming all reality. The God of Darkness is still seizing opportunities, but thankfully, Phoenix was able to emerge from her egg, and Blade was able to wake up from Wakanda to help others, such as with some people were infected with the symbiote, such as Squirrel Girl, Spider-Man, Captain America, and many others. There was also people with the Phoenix Force, such as Emma, Iron Fist, Black Widow, a lot of people, including Venom, and also including Cloak and Dagger and everybody else. Everybody is then infected with some venom, with symbiotes and the Phoenix Force with them, including Luke Snow. Now, in the anime adaptation, Null returns, unleashing a cosmic scale threat. His echoing voice through space is, "No mortal hero can imprison me forever." Under his influence, symbiotes break free, forming black tendrils that engulf planets. Heroes must journey to Clintar and begin beyond to stop this paradox, whatever it's called. Now, here is the climax of the whole thing. This is the big part of this whole movie. And yeah, so the defeat. The climax unfolds in symbiotic space, armed with ethos, energy, and unity. The heroes Venom, Adam Warlock, Guardians, and others battle through corrupted symbiotes to reach Null, including Hela. In a desperate gambit, they use Null's own essence, perhaps drawn from the Necrosword, which is the sword that you see, or symbiotic core to bend him. In some lore from the Ashes Gallery, Hawkeye even remarks that Null was destroyed with his own essence in Poetic. But in the actual lore and in the actual cinematic, he actually died. He actually killed Phoenix, and then Phoenix was able to come back to life. But they actually switched places thanks to Rocket and Wanda's help. It's also one of the cinematics in the game. You can also see the cinematics are in the game. They added that as a feature. But to summarize everything, basically it was just like basically the way how this was all summarized is Dracula was the villain. The threat level wasn't really that much, as he is just the beginning, and the threat level was eternal darkness and vampires. In the Montesi formula and Doom's betrayal was basically the strategy on how they used to defeat Dracula. Then how defeated Doom then steals the Chromium and the hero strike. And then in this next part, we have Ultron, which is the AI invasion of Krakoa. They then use a rebooted Ultron body versus the Extron. The old Ultron sacrifices to stop evolution AI. Next up is Null, cosmic symbiote god of nightmares. This is one of the biggest parts of this movie, as this kind of shows us of Blade and then the Fantastic Four and also other people coming in, such as Phoenix and all that. Pure essence plus unified symbiotes. Null defeated with his own essence and force. Well, it wasn't really his own essence, but this is basically how the movie says it was. So, how was the plot of this film? Now, to be fair, whenever you're making a film, there's always gonna have to be a story and stuff. So obviously we're gonna dive into Heart of the Dragon, which is the season 4, beginning September 12, 2025 UTC. It's gonna be also on PS4, which is for some reason pretty weird. But we're talking about movie. How is this movie going to work in a way? Now I know the audio sounds weird. I just don't know what's going on. If the audio starts feeling weird, that is alright. But I don't really like. It's not really say, but how does a movie work? Well, first of all, they need to get animation. The animation will take longer than expected, as animations can go on up to a long time and can pretty much just go up from there. Now, for this whole movie, the movie starts off as Dracula. It's Dracula starts off this whole movie, but before the movie starts, actually, he's the beginning villain. Before the anime starts, it's going to be all the heroes and their stories on how the time stream entanglement started and the story basically on that. Now, Doom won't really be in this movie. He won't really be in the movie, but you will get to see him in some aspects and in many stuff. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoy. I worked so hard. I made a whole script and everything. And I also, if you guys like the gameplay I was showing here, thank you. I worked a long time trying to get this to work fully. But thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. And I'll see you guys next video. Peace out.